Hello, family. I am here to basically talk to you about the microbiome, the gut, your cholesterol, your HDL, and what its function is. Now, HDL is known as your good cholesterol, LDL is known as your bad cholesterol. LDL is your low density lipoprotein. LDL is always confused as a cholesterol when it's not. It's just a protein that's made inside the body that is the transport carrier for your cholesterol. And your HDL is what comes behind it and actually scrapes it away and dumps it into the liver to be processed out. Now, cholesterol is made in the liver. It's dumped into your system, your blood system. LDL picks it up and actually takes it to the spot. Now, what is LDL doing in this instant? It's either taking it somewhere for vitamin D to be made, it's either taking it somewhere for bile to be created, probably another spot in the liver because bile is also dependent on cholesterol. Vitamin D is dependent on cholesterol. Hormone production is dependent on cholesterol. Cell health is dependent on cholesterol. The membrane has to be built of it. So cholesterol also serves as a function of repair. And if you have an area that's extremely inflamed and you have no way of repairing that area, how are you supposed to fix a stress response? You work out excessively, some cells get damaged. You work out excessively, inflammation in the joints. You have a bunch of refined carbohydrates and sugar, and they end up inflaming your arterial wall. Now, there's two places that are thought of to be the main culprit here, and that's the artery to the brain and the artery to the heart. Now, coronary heart disease is actually, I don't know how to say it correctly, not coronary, so cardiovascular disease is known to be like the number one cause of death behind cancer. And basically, when you start wrapping your mind around what you're putting in the body and what's causing it, so saturated fat used to be thought as the cause for the blockages, and then we start to realize that saturated fat is not the cause at all. What it is the stress response to refined carbohydrates and sugar. So when you start putting refined carbohydrates in your sugar, your body is obviously going to use it as energy first, but it's through that processing and transport issue that becomes the problem. So the arterial wall gets inflamed. LDL has to pick up cholesterol that's released from the liver and take it to the arterial wall where the repair is supposed to happen because of the inflammation. So as LDL is passing by this, picture a train station, just like Dr. Rhonda said in her video. Picture a train station where the train is passing by and there's a little damaged spot on the platform, and all of a sudden it's got to drop off a piece of LDL and keep going. Well, that's what it does. LDL takes the cholesterol to the spot that's damaged and it basically drops it off. It rips it off and leaves it there. Part of the cholesterol is still left on the LDL and it takes off through the system still. The cholesterol that's not used on the LDL gets dumped back into the liver for recycling. The other part is HDL, your high density lipoprotein. It comes behind and rips it off as it repairs. So it's constantly ripping off cholesterol and dropping off cholesterol until the repair is done. Now what happens is when you get into a stressful situation where you excessively dump cholesterol and high-density lipoprotein can't keep up with it, that's where the plaquing begins. And that plaquing is usually caused by excessive refined sugar and carbohydrates. Now, a lot of this starts in your gut microbiome. You have a barrier, a gut barrier that's basically a partition between your gut bacteria and your immune cell health. Now, what ends up happening when you have foreign bodies that come into the gut, dirty hands, contaminated food poisoning, things of that nature that get down in there, is your immune system is supposed to attack the byproduct, the bad foreign body that's in you. But what ends up happening is, I forget the name of it now. What ends up happening is endotoxins are released. and it binds to the docking site on the cell. And when those endotoxins bind to the docking site on the cell that the cholesterol is attached to, it tries to go back to the system, recycle it back into the liver, and the liver tries to get rid of it, but it can't. That endotoxin can't be processed. So it stays in the system. And your immune system just dumps tons of cells, attack. And it's trying to kill it, it's trying to get rid of it. So now you have this huge stress response. So what are some things that you can eat that cause you to have a healthier gut, so you have better gut microbiome, and you can attack these foreign bodies and stuff and get them processed out of the system a lot faster? Veggies. Veggies have short chain fatty acids. Your gut loves the fiber from vegetables, and it loves the short chain fatty acids from vegetables. So it can feed your gut very well and make it healthy. Any kind of sour kefir, some sour creams, live culture yogurt, kimchi, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, garlic, all that stuff takes care of your gut. And that's what's going to help you actually fight some of the insulin resistance. A lot of the insulin resistance starts in your gut. So for a lot of diabetics and stuff that have issues with insulin resistance, if they would learn to start feeding their gut, because that's where a lot of the digestive actually the nutrient transport and stuff starts, they would probably see quite a bit of reaction and health change overall. So cholesterol, LDL, and HDL are demonized to be these dangerous things that you shouldn't have, and it's not true. It really isn't true. And I would question whenever you get your lipid panels done, and I would request something called an LPP2 test, or you don't even have to say that. Ask your doctor for a plaque particle test, and that will tell you the individual particles that are in your blood in general. And when you do that, you have a better understanding of exactly what's going on. Trying to see if I forgot anything here. I think that's it. So basically, Dr. Rhonda was talking about whenever you feed your gut refined sugar and carbohydrates, it takes up space that the normal good feeding mechanism, your short chain fatty acids, would take, as it's trying to feed your gut and make it healthy. And when those refined carbohydrates and sugar do that, it basically starts shutting down your system and making you insulin resistant slowly, and you don't even realize it. So it's so important to stay away from refined carbohydrates and sugar, and making sure what you're putting in your mouth is healthy, because it starts in the gut first. So guys, just be cognizant of what's going on. Know what cholesterol is, know what LDL and HDL is, know how to look at your numbers. I don't know what the numbers are exactly. I think HDL is supposed to be like 45 to 65, not exactly, somewhere in that range. And LDL is supposed to be like, I don't know, 35 to 55 or 60, somewhere around there. The numbers are supposed to be low. But that correlation doesn't always signify healthy or not healthy LDL and HDL. Because remember, we're still running off a system that's probably 50 years old. Nothing's been created, nothing's been really studied. They haven't advanced anything. I see people that have, LDL and HDL, 80 LDL and like 140 HDL or something, or they'll look at your HDL into your triglycerides. Is it a 2-to-1 ratio? So if your HDL is 100 and your triglycerides are 200, you have a 2-to-1 ratio here. And they say, well, that's not bad actually. That's kind of like that could be considered normal for the circumstance. Or you'll look at it differently, where it'll say, your LDL is a little high, but your HDL is a little high, so that means they're both doing what they're supposed to do. So maybe it was because you were in a stressful situation. Who knows? Nobody knows these answers. These doctors guess, and it's just studies and stuff that have been done. You have to take it from there. You have to learn how much further you want to go with your studies and stuff. It is always. I always challenge you to learn as much as you possibly can. Don't just take it from me. Don't just take it from some YouTube guy or some internet or some YouTube video that posts pictures and you got some robot talking over and take it for granted. Actually get out there and look it up for yourself. I challenge you to study, to learn this stuff, because you're on a journey to be better. Why not make yourself better overall and learn the right stuff? Alright guys, I am going to leave it at that. I've talked too much already and I'm sure you're tired of seeing my mug today. Thanks again for the support. If you haven't hit subscribe, please do it. You know how YouTube's done. They make it very difficult for us to do anything now. We need 1,000 subscribers and we need 4,000 watch hours in order to get anywhere here. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell for notifications. I put stuff up that's worth a damn sometimes. Not all the time, but most of the time anyway, I should say. Some people find it interesting. Some people appreciate it. I'm just a little bit different than Joe Schmo. I'm a little bit different than Kathy from down the block that wants you to support her weight loss journey. I'm all about health. I'm trying to support you, and I want you to support me by subscribing and hitting that bell, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great night. Keto on.